Hello, everybody. It's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Thanks for joining us here on YouTube. Be sure to check out RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com for everything Royal Caribbean related. Happy Monday. We are in a completely different area, not in our home studio. Actually, I didn't even plan this, but there's a sailboat right over my shoulder. Who knew? But we're actually doing a little staycation here with the family. But we are live here on Monday, coming at you a little earlier than usual because the last couple of weeks we've been going really late, and we have a lot of friends who live in the UK. And maybe even a Paul Crow who just can't stay up that late anymore. I understand. So we're coming at you a little earlier in the daytime, so that way we get everybody an opportunity to talk a little Royal Caribbean together. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Happy Monday, everybody. Glad to have you here. We've got Sophie Burns, our first chatter. Sophie, love the enthusiasm as always. Welcome. Jared, Chance, Kathy L, Michelle Clark, hello. Mia's World, hello. We've got Brittany from Detroit in the house. Misty Benham. Hello, Misty. Welcome. John Stumped. Missed you for several weeks. Hope you're doing well. I am well, my friend. Glad to have you here. Welcome. Am I a bit under the weather? I am not, Michael. I'm feeling great, actually. We're just in a different spot. I'm also just talking differently. I have a different microphone. It's a whole different setup here, guys, including a giant glare over my shoulder, which, you know, if I had maybe planned these a little bit better, I might have done a little bit better. All right, so we're answering your cruise questions. Our first question today is from Eleanor Blast. Wants to know, are we still optimistic for fall and winter cruising? I think, Eleanor, number one, who knows? I mean, we just simply don't know. There's not enough information out there to be able to be either optimistic or pessimistic about it. Certainly, we're in a situation where we've had, obviously 4 or 5 phases of cancellations, right? Going back from March, we've had, cruises canceled. And I get that. I'm actually going to shift over here so that way there's less of a glare. Still be a glare, but just moving down the couch here. It's very easy to feel pessimistic about those things because, look, that's the trend that we've been seeing, right? It's like playing roulette. And if the ball keeps hitting, red every single time, it's hard to start thinking, eventually it's going to be black, but in the meantime, it feels like it's hitting red all the time. That's kind of how it feels with cruising at this point. So, I don't know. It's easy, but there's not enough information to really feel one way or another. But my roulette example was just an example of sometimes it feels like it's always going to be one way. Eventually, it's going to come back the other way. Not exactly apples to apples. I get that. But Anne-Marie Myers is here. Welcome, Anne-Marie. Gerard with a giant super chat. Woo! 21 pounds. Blimey. That's a lot. Thank you, my friend. Wow. Thank you, Gerard, for starting us off with a very, very generous super chat, my friend. Thank you. Mike Brown finally made a live. Always your information and great attitudes here. Greetings from Las Vegas. Hello, Las Vegas. Glad to see you here as well. And seeing Gerard here with the super chat, obviously tipping me in pounds. So either he's really bored or more likely he's from jolly old England or the UK, I should say. And, good to see some of our friends across the pond joining us here to talk some Royal Caribbean. Hopefully at an hour that's a little more reasonable for you guys. And I'm going to put this out to Lewis, but you don't have to type your question 70 times in a row. Type your question. Give me a minute or two. If I can get to it, I'll get to it. Kelly Kolovos. What's up, Kelly? Welcome. Long time no speak. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Jay Wanderman is here. David Vadden, you're early. Yeah, so again, we're trying to mix it up a little bit this week for our friends who may be finding our otherwise live times a little too late there. We've got Jim in the house. Awesome. Welcome. Stephen G, sweet. I didn't know you were doing this during the daytime. Yeah, usually we go live about 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. But this week, do a little earlier there. Zach Jewell wants to know, did you used to work for Royal Caribbean? I do not. No, I've never worked for Royal Caribbean. I run RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, which is an independent blog just about Royal Caribbean, but I've never worked for them, nor do I work for them right now. Tyler Diedrich, is Matt on vacation? Matt is on vacation. Well, as much as vacation is a staycation. I think that's where it's officially, right? We're just about 30 minutes away from where we usually live. Bob and Chrissy in the house. Ron Ladowski. Love me some Ron Ladowski. What a great guy. Always down for whatever, including tequila. CPATVing, what did you think about the new Royal Caribbean Health Panel? Yeah, today's big news. Guys, let's talk about this. Royal Caribbean announcing today their new health safety panel. This is basically they're announcing who's on this panel, and this panel's task is to come up with the policies, recommendations, regulations for when cruising resumes to make sure it is as safe as possible out there. And I will say, let's start off with CPATVing's question here. What do I think about the panel? I was actually very impressed. It was more than I was even expecting in terms of who's on the panel. It is not like, 3 or 4 people. It's not cruise industry people. It is a all-star cast of scientists, medical professionals, epidemiologists, people who know this in and out. A lot of people with experience working with the government, working for the government, people with experience working at the CDC. So I would say this, looking at the panel, and again, we haven't seen one recommendation from them yet, but at least at the beginning, you can say a couple things. Number one, Royal Caribbean, you cannot say that the Royal Caribbean or Norwegian, because they're both collaborating on there, that they're not trying, right? You can't sit there and say they don't really care. They're not listening to the experts. They have the experts on the panel right now. So if you're going to sit here and criticize the accolades, the worth of the panel here, I think you're crazy, because they really have gone above and beyond in terms of what's out there. Now, we're not going to hear much from them until sometime next month, I believe. Mid to late August is when we're going to hear something about that. So at the very least, the good news is we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for this blue ribbon panel. We've met the panel, and now we're moving a big step forward towards, again, getting back to cruising. And this is a big one right here, because this is what we need in order for cruises to resume. The cruise lines need to have a plan of action. They need people to tell the governments around the world, when we resume cruises, we're not going to be, the floating petri dishes that some people think we are. We're going to take the necessary steps to make sure that it's safe, or as safe as possible anyway. And we have the first step of that today at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com if you want to take a look at that. And not only posted the basic information there, I also posted about an hour or two ago some interesting anecdotes from a video you may have seen in our channel earlier today here on YouTube. That there was a great interview between Royal Caribbean's chairman and CEO Richard Fain and one of the co-chairs, I should say, of the panel, going back and forth. Some good information right there. So, Rob Lasky, I've read the panel has determined that Patron helps fight the virus. I'm not sure about that, but I'm willing to go for it. Jim J found out the reason for Odyssey construction delay was a fire in the shipyard. Have you also heard the Windjammer Air isn't going away? Can you confirm? Yes. And Jim, you would know the answers to those questions, both being yes and yes, from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, because my friend, we broke both the news about that at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Yes, the Windjammer Air will still be there. That is something that we broke, first reported at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. And the fire, yes, there was and you can read all about this. All was both news occurred last week, Jim, and it's over at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com for you to see it. Powerful female, hello. My cruise will be next November. The Royal Caribbean Blog Cruise. Nice. I know you'll have some fun stuff, and I can't wait for that sailing. That's going to be an amazing, amazing sailing. Lewis, when will the cruise ships be coming back to normal, I think. When will the cruise ships be coming back? See, if you write the same question 8 times, it's the same question, my friend. You don't have to keep copying and pasting. We don't know. The answer is no one really knows. I think anyone who tells you otherwise is simply just making it up or guessing, quite frankly. So, Catherine Kane finally made alive. Just rebooked a canceled April Oasis cruise for a March Symphony cruise, almost same itinerary. Nice. Nick Perez has faith they'll be cruising soon. Jay Waterman, listen to the Fain interview. It will make you feel more comfortable about the future of cruising. I will tell you this, and I agree with Jay 100% as usual. There's no question in my mind that, when you hear these people talk about it, I mean, these are guys who they not only have a horse in the race, I mean, they are the race, right? And to that point, I think there's some really good stuff coming out of there. And yeah, you listen to that video we posted earlier today here on our channel. I think it's going to make you feel pretty good about the circumstances of coming back. And I think above all else, the type of conversations we're hearing about from Royal Caribbean, from this panel, is that they're being very realistic with it. I think that this isn't like, pixie dust and unicorn It's a realistic, practical approach, and that really does make me feel good about it as well. Hello, Andy and Cheryl. Welcome. Alexander's got a question for us. Do you think that Royal Caribbean will begin sailing out of low corona activity states, or will they all begin sailing at once? Oh, no, you're not spamming Alexander. Someone else is doing it. That's a really good question, my friend. Royal Caribbean has said when they resume sailing, it's going to be a couple ships, but they haven't specified where or what ship. So the answer is we don't know, Alexander. Right now, believe it or not, if things hold up the way it is right now on paper, the first sailings to go out will be in China, actually, because their cruises are supposed to resume in August. Now, that could change. We've seen that happen before when Royal Caribbean said China was going to start in June or July. I forget exactly when. That got canceled, obviously. So it remains to be seen what will happen. But it very well could be that cruising will resume in Europe and China first before even anywhere in the U.S. As to where in the U.S., who knows? I mean, really and truly, we don't know about that one. Don Goldstein in here, Commander. Glad to see you here. Thanks for keeping us informed and being so upbeat. My friend, it's a pleasure to have you here as always. And it's fun, man. At the end of the day, it's got to be fun, right? Max has got a question for us. Any tips in St. Barts? I've not been to St. Barts before. Maybe someone in our chat has. Zach, what cruise ship do you suggest for a cold cruise? Alaska. I think that's what you mean. Alaska. Jonathan Mitchell, waiting since March for a refund. Do you know what's taking so long? Unfortunately, the first cancellations were the slowest ones to come out there because they were the ones that the system was least accounted for. I actually just got my March refund like a week ago or so. It's not going to make me feel any better about it. The answer is it's just taking forever. I don't know. My advice to you, if you book the travel agent, talk to your travel agent, have them check in there. If you book directly with Royal Caribbean, call the cruise line because obviously you're above and beyond the reasonable amount of time here for a March cancellation. I can tell you you're not alone if that makes you feel any better. But yeah. Let's see here. There's a scheduled live from you right now. It says waiting on. Oh, I think I hit the button too many times there. This is the place to be. I don't know why that other one is doing that. I could maybe try to figure that out really quick. Unfortunately, when you're not in your usual setup, and that would be me in this situation, it causes problems. I'm going to quickly check here because I don't want people to get in the wrong idea. Give me 2 seconds, guys, while I go into the YouTube studio here and delete the other one. I think I know where that would be if it was. Let's see here, live. And I should see my live right now. And I see the upcoming one, which is going to be, I'll delete that one. Delete forever. Yes, I would like to delete it forever. See you later. Okay, we're back. And thank you, Alex, for letting me know about that one. Beth Bean, why is it just Royal and Norwegian represented? What about Carnival? I believe I just saw something like an hour ago that Carnival's doing its own thing. I think number one, the idea that Carnival, or the idea that Royal Caribbean and Norwegian are doing their own thing is just that's surprising in and of itself. I don't know why the camera keeps autofocusing. I think it's because of the try not to move as much and the window. Anyway, listen. If you listen to today's video, Beth, there was a little anecdote in there where it sounded like one of the co-chairs was somebody that both Norwegian and Royal Caribbean were working towards. Like they both approached them at the same time, and they were like, "Hey, that other cruise line," and they're like, "Oh, OMG, let's work together," right? Because cruise lines, they may have said to Carnival, "Hey, let's work together." They may have said to MSC, "Hey, let's work together," but for whatever reason, they didn't. There's money involved. Don't forget this. Number one, there's money involved. Number two, whichever cruise line is working on it, some people are more controlling about that. So there very well could be different factors. These are corporations. These are large corporations. And while, one cruise line may see one thing in one way, another may see something in a different way. But you shouldn't look at it as, Carnival wasn't let in, or we simply will never know the answer to that. Or likely we will know the answer to it eventually. But there's no, I don't know why, quite frankly. I don't think, and honestly, even before today, I would have told you, I never would have thought any cruise lines would have collaborated. So far we've seen a plan from Carnival, MSC, and now here Royal and Norwegian. So who knows? Mrs. Thomas with a giant epic super chat. Woo! Thank you, Mrs. Thomas. I usually drink virgin pina coladas, but I'm thinking of adding a shot of Kraken after all this. Have a large lava flow from me. Drink it slow. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it, Mrs. Thomas. Very, very kind of you. And I got to tell you, listen, virgin pina coladas, great drink, but Kraken rum will change your life. It will make your life a whole lot better. It just makes that drink wowie, wow, wow, incredible right there. William Grable, what are the odds that Royal Caribbean will depart U.S. in 2020? Hard to say, my friend. It really is. And the reason why I say that is because there's no data. I can't this isn't like football where you say, what are the odds that, the Bills are going to beat the Patriots? Well, we always know the answer to that is 0. But, at least you can look at past stats and you can see what this guy was doing last week. There's no data. We're just it's like picking lottery numbers at this point. So, but I do agree. And Beth says, I think that it's great that there's some cooperation. I agree as well. Absolutely. And for all we know, who knows why it wasn't, we don't know that other cruise lines weren't consulted or brought in on this. You never know, guys. I mean, it's corporate culture here. It's like, the idea that Royal Caribbean and Norwegian are working together is basically like Wendy's and Taco Bell working together, or, FedEx and DHL. Like, yeah, they're in the same space, and yeah, they have a lot of the same goals, but they're still competitors. And there's egos involved. There's money involved. There's a lot of factors that we'll never know the answers to. So, let's see here. Chip Gaines, love your show on HGTV. Want to do an Alaska cruise, trying to decide if I want to leave from Seattle, Vancouver. What's your opinion? Seattle's if you're an American, Chip, Seattle is much easier to get out of because it's a domestic flight. It'll be cheaper, and there'll be more flights for you to get to. Vancouver will get you a much more interesting itinerary, but it's going to be an international flight, technically. There's going to be less options for you, so that may mean a higher cost and more like connecting flights and whatnot, as with Seattle, which is super easy to get to. So, different things right there. Kean McQuillan, do I work for Royal Caribbean? I do not work for Royal Caribbean. No, I run RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Yash, are there any discounts for back-to-back cruises that Royal Caribbean offers? No, there's no specific book 2 cruises, get a discount kind of deal. No, they're just, Royal Caribbean looks at it as 2 completely separate cruises. A lot of Bills fans in the house. I made that joke because a friend of mine who's probably not watching right now because he's stacking honeydew melon is a big Bills fan, but I also know that the Bills always lose to the Patriots no matter what. Ron Ledowski, hey, Bills fan longer than being an insider. Jay Waterman, at the end, Royal Caribbean Norwegian Carnival will use the best ideas. Best practice will be the end result. Absolutely. There's a lot of truth to that. I think a lot of it has to do with corporate culture, what their goals are, what they're looking to do. There's a lot of factors involved. So, yeah. And I agree with John Sump. If you're an American citizen, leave from Seattle. It is really easy. But the itineraries to go to Vancouver are usually much better. So it's, yeah. Let's see. Leland says, going on Oasis of the Seas for New Year's cruise. I've been on it twice, but not since refurb. Have you been on it since? Yes. I went on Oasis 2 times since the refurbishment. It is amazing, my friend. It is really good. I recommend Oasis of the Seas. I'd go over on Oasis of the Seas over some of the other ships as well. BG fan, my app has been saying Crown and Anchor Society status pending. Nothing happening with being awarded night loyalty points for canceled cruises, is there? You're not missing anything, dude. You're not getting points for canceled cruises, period. That's not a thing. So, Ryan East, perfect day at Coco Key, fully done construction. Yes, phase 1, Ryan, if you want to call it that. Yes. I think there was at one point, probably before COVID, they were planning on doing an expansion beyond that, but the original plans are done. Yes. You've got, obviously, the water park, Cocoa Beach Club. That was the end of phase 1. So construction is, for all intents and purposes, complete on the island. Yes, sir. Let's see here. And Don Goldstein, and the whole industry will be painted with the same brush, so it will help everyone to be healthy. Absolutely. And Don, to that point, you see, there was an article that came out last week that a Greek cruise line, Celestial Cruise Line, is shutting down until 2021. And people are writing, all the cruise lines shutting down in 2021. It's like, first of all, nobody ever goes on Celestial. It's a minor cruise line that sells ancient ships. But you're right. The cruise industry gets painted by the same brush. You're absolutely right, as usual. 12th man proud, long time no speak, and a giant epic super chat. Oh! Hey, Matt, long time no chat. My question, what is your opinion about sailing out of Florida as we watch the new COVID-19 seems to be spiking? Does Royal Caribbean have a plan to handle the embarkation? They do. They're working on the plan right now with 12th man. The big news today, 12th man, is Royal Caribbean has come up with they've announced, they've been working on it for about 3 months now, but they've announced a new blue ribbon panel that is tasked with answering those exact questions, my friend. And we're going to get more information about that in August, about what is going to be going on there with that new plan, what it's going to be, and things like embarkation, on board the whole shebang, man. They're coming up with a whole new plan, and we're going to have all the details. And that'll come out. It's going to be a multi-phase approach. I believe the first phase, the first initial recommendations will be coming out in late August. And then there'll be some more work done after that, obviously to adjust and those kinds of things there. So, yeah. Let's see here. Owen wants to know, is it worth getting the water park pass to go Key? I heard the lineups are really long. You only go a few slides. It is worth the money. There can be lines, sure. But, I mean, there are lines at Disney World. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go to Disney World necessarily. It's not as bad as you think. And if you get there early in the morning, you'll be fine. So I like it. I think, yes, absolutely worth it. Kathy Richardson, since the CDC can't seem to make a decision about cruising, this seems like the cruise line's attempt at showing that they have their stuff together. I like your wording right there. So we can all get back to cruising once again. Absolutely, Kathy. This is as much. Let's not mince words here, right? Today's announcement, this panel, is just as much about healthy cruising and the right approach as it is a PR move. At the end of the day, it is as much about marketing, as much about PR as it is about actually keeping people safe. Because at the end of the day, cruise ships, right or wrong, and it's wrong, get painted with this picture. Oh, they're the floating petri dish out there. And you know that the first person who gets COVID-19 on a cruise ship, it's going to happen, the news is going to be like, oh, here we go again, right? So, yeah. Lander, hey, Matt, when looking at Alaska cruises, what are the pros for a one-way itinerary? Good question. Doing the one-way, the open jaw, that's what they're referred to. The open jaw itineraries are the advantages you get to much more interesting ports. You go to places you will never go to on a 7-night round-trip cruise. That is the number one benefit. Also, they can be a little bit cheaper, in fact. Less expensive, I should say. Not cheaper, but you know what I mean. Z wants to know, do you think it is worth it to book an Alaska cruise for 21? Do you think everything will be back to normal by then? I don't know. Will be back to normal by then? I would go for it, Z. I mean, I have cruise plans for 2021. They're not to Alaska, but I'm going to Europe in 2021, doing Thanksgiving. So, yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Oliver in the house. What do you do now instead of cruising? Talk to you guys. I'm still working on the blog, but actually, this is our first real vacation since the pandemic. We're doing a 1 week staycation, about half an hour from where we live. At least to get out a little change of scenery right there. But yeah, Freddy Spaghetti, great name. Finally caught a live stream. Nice, welcome. Yash, my partner and I are booked for a honeymoon cruise on January 23rd, 2021 on Symphony of the Seas. Would you recommend a balcony or could we save some money and use the money for excursions? That's a good question, my friend. When it comes to, what room to book and is it worth saving money on a balcony or not? Here's the thing, man. If you're tight, if money's tight and saving the money, you look at the pricing and if you go for an inside room and it will save you a lot of money that you could use for an awesome excursion, yeah, do that awesome excursion, man. That is the way to go. Absolutely. I would do that. If it's negligible money, sure, go for the balcony. Chip Gaines, the original Chip Gaines from East Orlando, not HGTV. I'm sure you get that joke all the time. Chip, thank you for the epic super chat. Woo! Thank you, my friend. And I'm sorry, I make that. My jokes aren't very original. So, and Tony Diaz with the super chat. You're early. What will I do later on tonight? Quality time with Mrs. Diaz, Tony. You'd be like, you're gonna go to your wife and say, listen, honey, you know what? Every Monday, usually hanging out with that Brad Pitt looking guy. But tonight, baby, it's all about you. And you know what she'll say, Tony? She'll look into your eyes and say, honey, I know he was on at 4:00. If he was on right now, you'd be watching him. So I don't believe you for a minute. Penelope, hello and welcome. Lisa McBrain, you got to change the walls every now and then. Absolutely. Freddie, thought you'd be interested to hear that Icon has just started construction. Yeah, I've seen some photos of that. Interesting stuff right there. Tommy in the house, first time alive. Thanks for all the info. Thank you for joining us here. Carter Holt, Matt, how could they find someone on the cruise that is asymptomatic? I think it's part of what they're going to be doing, Carter. I don't know the answer to your question. But of course, the new panel that's been announced for today, that's going to be one of their tasks, my friend, to address those kind of concerns. Dan Mitrano with guys, everyone has been so generous today. Holy moly. Thank you for the epic giant super chat. Woo! Super chat makes me feel better about sitting on my couch on the last day of vacation, Leland, see you on the New Year's on Oasis. Wow, I wasn't even invited on this one, but thank you, Dan. Leland, you've heard from Dan now. I'm just passing along information now. Appreciate it. Tony Diaz, she'll look into my eyes and say, why can't you be more like Matt? Oh, man. Oh, Tony, good times right there. Todd Cohen, hey, Matt, is it going to be difficult to get a reservation for Izumi Hibachi on Harmony when booking on board? I think if you go on embarkation day, you'll be okay. Would you have the full run of times and dates? No, of course not. You'll have to be a little flexible. But even on Harmony, as long as you go on embarkation day, I have generally had pretty good luck. I don't think I've ever gone there and they said we're totally sold out for a 3-day cruise, or for not 3-day cruise, but for a three-day package. I don't think you'll have any issues there at all. But go there on embarkation day. Make sure you honestly, I would go there first thing. You get on board the ship, even before going to the Windjammer, even before getting a drink of the day, like Kelly likes to do. You go to the by the way, Kelly goes to the Schooner Bar, but you go to Hibachi and check that out. Let's see here. Church Planting wants to know, Catalyst, energy drinks allowed in your carry-on with sodas? Yes, absolutely. As long as it's non-alcoholic, you are good to go right there. Can you buy sodas, energy, water bottles at ports and bring it on? Yes. The ports won't have it, Church. I mean, they might have like a vending machine, but you can totally stop at, a 7-Eleven, a CVS, a supermarket, pick some up, and then bring it with you. Keep in mind, you're allowed to bring up to 12 bottles or cans, whatever, of your energy drink sodas per stateroom. So keep that in mind right there. Andy, why aren't you at your studio? We're doing a little vacation, a little staycation. We're at a vacation home, so I'm somewhere else today. How do you do a super chat? Right below the chat where you type in your message, you see a little $ over there. Click on that, and it will prompt you to do that. Carter Holt, how would the cruise make passengers business? Again, these are questions the panel will answer, my friend. If you're just asking openly, okay, that's fair. But we're going to get in answers to that going forward once the panel comes up with their recommendations, which will occur, again, late August. So you have a little, Carter, back to your question, though, how would you, social distance? There was an interesting article that came out, or news came out. I wrote the article about it on Friday at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com from Europe. The European Union came up with their own recommendations for what cruise ships should be doing to combat the spread of COVID-19. And they have things like, what they recommend for them. Whether or not how much of that will appear in what this panel comes up with remains to be seen. But we do know at the very least, Royal Caribbean will be limiting capacity on board its ships. We heard about that last week. We reported about that at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, that they're going to be limiting capacity. I don't know any details about how they're going to determine that. That wasn't part of it, but we do know that's coming. Sarah, do you think the CDC will release their guidelines soon? No, I think the CDC is going to wait for the cruise lines to give them their plans and then be like, yes, no, yes. You know what I mean? I think that's my expectation. I could be wrong on that, Sarah, but yeah. CPATV, do you think virtual muster drills will happen? I would be very surprised if they don't at this point, because of the fact that we've seen this e-mustering, and some of the wording and things that have come out seem like it would be right up there. It seems like it's a natural fit, quite frankly. Ryan, is Royal Caribbean working on any new private islands? Well, they were before COVID-19. I don't know how it's working right now, but they were actually building, or going to build, a new private island, Perfect Day Island, in fact, over in Vanuatu, in Lelepa, which is over in the South Pacific. Steve Schley, what's up, Matt? Honest feeling, hunch, will I be on Harmony in March? I honestly, dude, I know you're like, you know me, I want to give you positive news if I can. I just don't know. I have no idea. I really don't. It's certainly possible. Tiltman, have you noticed that prices in the cruise planner are higher even with discounts? I've seen there's always an ebb and flow to it, 12th man. And it depends on the sailing, and I've seen some really great discounts, otherwise not so much, but have to wait and see. Yash, tell us something about Wonder of the Seas. Wonder of the Seas will be the 5th Oasis class ship, and she's going to Asia first. Beyond that, really don't know anything much about it. Just an Oasis class ship, and she's going to Asia. JC, what's up, JC? If the CDC are going to be even harsher, I think they're going to be extra tough, but that's just my opinion. Maybe you're right about that. Who knows? But I'm going to tell you this much. If you look at this panel they've come up with, I mean, it's a heavy hitters. This is not like a bunch of cruise executives that kind of go, well, we could do this. You know what I mean? This is about as objective panel as you can. Who's going to come up with these rules right there? So, Bayron, if Cruz is canceled, do you get refunds for packages and excursions? Yes, you do. Sophie Burns, are group cruises planned during breaks from school? More and more they are, because you may be hearing some of my children yelling in the background. And we try to do that, yes. As an example, Sophie, we have a group cruise planned. Our group cruises for next year, 2 of them, in 2021, both during breaks for school, traditionally. One is over the summer in July, and the other one is over Thanksgiving. So not always the case, but it is the case going forward in 21. What'll happen beyond that, I don't know. But Sophie, tell your mom that you got to go on the cruise. So let's see here. Israel Camacho, Odyssey of the Seas cancellations offer 125% cruise planner credit. Have you seen this? Yes, they started doing this about 2 or 3 cancellation phases ago, but they give you the option. Usually when your cruise is canceled, your drink packages, your shore excursions are just simply canceled outright. You get a refund. But you have the option instead of getting 125% value on board credit of that. So Pascal wants to do Panama Canal 2022. I would love to make that happen. And Pascal, if they put that on the calendar, we're going to put a deposit. We're going to figure it out. We're going to make it work somehow, some way. I don't know how. It probably, knowing my luck, it's going to be on I don't know, somebody's wedding or something like that. We'll figure it out. Let's see here. Cindy Rendon. What's up, Cindy? You make my Mondays. Desert weather in Texas need a break. As a Floridian, where it ain't that much, it's probably the same temperature by you with a lot more humidity. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm glad you're doing all right. Penelope, with the new app, can you schedule ultimate dining packages choices once on the ship? No, you still have to go to make a reservation. If you have the package, you have to go to the restaurant to make the reservations. I mean, you could book it through the app, but then you're going to get charged for it, which doesn't really make any sense. So, Steve, if they can figure out a way to get cruising once again, it's going to be a disaster for the travel industry. Really feel for the if they can't. Oh, sorry. If they can't figure out a way to get cruising again, it's going to be a disaster for the travel industry. Absolutely agree. Cruising will be back. I mean, listen, there's too much money to be made here, guys. I mean, this isn't going to fold up, and there's been health issues are not. This isn't going to be the death knell of the cruising industry. Could there be a lot of change? Could there be wholesale change? Absolutely true. But cruising will eventually resume. But to your point, Steve, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? That's the long-term answer. The short term, I don't know, And I've certainly seen travel agents and agencies say, listen, that's it. We can't, we're not making any money. We got to go do something else. It's not that we don't want to be travel agents. It's that we got to be practical with our time. So Jack's Cruise Blog, what's up, dude? Glad to see you here as well. Jerry Foskey, do you know how many ships I think you mean will sail, Jerry. When they resume, I'm not sure. Let's see here. Sanuj, European cruise guidelines, will they have any effect on Royal Caribbean? Remains to be seen. We don't know. It remains to be seen if those will be right. Obviously the document is more of a recommendation, a guideline. But it remains to be seen if it will be also actually enforced for the cruise lines and to what extent. It's too early to tell, my friend. Chosen One, how does one make the best of a cruise with limited money? Great question, friend. A couple things. Number one, you book during a time of the year when you can get a lower rate. So instead of going on your cruise over the summer, which is a popular time to go in the, the first, go in January, go in the first weeks of February, go in the month of May. These are times of the year when there's far less people willing to cruise. That brings the price down. Number two, book an inside room or a smaller. Instead of going for a balcony or a suite, go for an inside room or an ocean view room to save money. Money saved on your room is more money you have to spend on things like excursions, drinks, etc. Pre-book. The more you can pre-book, the earlier you can book, whether it's your cruise fare or you can pre-book your dining, excursions. It saves you money. And that's really the name of the game right there. So book it as early as you can. That's a really good strategy as well. And also use a travel agent. I use a travel agent. I think everybody should use a good travel agent. They can help key you in on discounts. And if you live in the U.S., if you live in Canada, take advantage of price drops, repricing. So that's another really, really helpful policy right there. Mrs. Thomas with another super chat. My goodness. Just an extra tip to say a big thank you for all the hard work you do to keep us all informed of what is going on. Well, Mrs. Thomas, thank you for your generosity. My goodness. I mean, listen, super chats are not required. I don't ask for them, but it means so much to me that you think this much of what I'm rambling about and making fun of Tony that to give not only one but two very generous super chats. Thank you, Mrs. Thomas. Really appreciate that. I really appreciate you guys. We got a lot of people in here hanging out for 4 o'clock, 4:30 here on a. Again, maybe we're all in the UK. I don't know. Roxanne, you don't have to turn on. Sorry, I know you probably heard that joke a million times. You think cruising will be back in April 2021? I hope so. I don't know, but I hope so. Ex-Captain Mike 5, is booking on board the ship always for your next cruise? Are those prices always cheaper than a travel agent website? Actually, no. The price on board the ship, Mike, is exactly the same price at home. The difference is when you book on board, you get extra onboard credit. You get free money, free onboard credit for booking on board the ship. And you can still use a travel agent. You can still take advantage of all those benefits. The difference is you get extra onboard credit. So here's what I would tell you, Mike. Should you book on board the ship? If you're sitting on board the ship, Mike, if you're sitting around, you're like, we're having a great time. All right, this is a great vacation. Let's book another cruise. If you're in that situation, yes, you should book it then. But if you're sitting at home right now, like you are, because no one's on a cruise ship right now, and you're saying, well, I got a cruise, Matt, coming up in December. I'm going to wait for my cruise to book it then. That is a mistake, because my concern is whatever extra money you'd be getting as onboard credit would be offset by the fact that you could have booked today or any time between today and December, and the price would have gone up. So, yeah. Steve Schley, love the new podcast about taking kids out of school. I couldn't really relate because a lot of the points were about things my 8-year-old doesn't encounter. It was good food for thought, though. Absolutely. Of course, Steve's talking about this week's podcast episode, which came out last Wednesday, and is about should you take your kids out of school to go on a cruise vacation? I was very, very happy with that episode. It was a really good discussion, and it's tough for me as a parent because when I was a kid, there was a lot more flexibility with taking kids out of school. There was a lot less restrictions. Let's put it that way. Now, with in today's site, like in my kid's school district, if you miss more than 5 days of unexcused absences, that's tardy. Like that's truant, not tardy. You're truant. That's a problem. So it really limits you. But it's a good discussion about what you should consider. And it's not like everybody should or shouldn't take your kids out of school. It's about recognizing what considerations should you be thinking about, maybe ones you haven't thought about. And then, of course, working and with the staff, with your teachers to make sure you're doing the best, not only by them, but by your kids. And you're just basically not saying you're avoiding pitfalls. That's all. So Don with a good point. It's also lower deposit in next cruise. Absolutely true. Again, I wouldn't wait to book a cruise on board a ship. I think 9 out of 10 times I would say just book it now to lock in that rate. Because again, it doesn't do you any good, guys, if you wait to book it on board the ship, get $50 onboard credit, and then the price is up $200. You're not really benefiting in that situation. Anthony wants to know, do you prefer paying gratuities early or on the cruise? I always pre-book it. It makes it easier, simpler, and also, Anthony, if Royal Caribbean raises the gratuity rate, like let's say tomorrow they're like, we're going to raise gratuities, whatever, you're always grandfathered in under the old rate, so you're good to go. Carter, what package would you prefer for me to book to get 3 people going? Not sure what you mean by package there, Carter. Which dining, drink? I'm not sure. Jack's Cruise Blog, when was Grandeur supposed to be going to Pullmantur next year? Has there been any news on that recently? No. There's been nothing. Royal Caribbean International has not said a word about it. It's just, I think they're waiting for all the shoes to drop and then figure it out from there. Leo, how are cruises for December 2020 looking? I have one booked for December 27th on Harmony. I mean, right now they're not canceled, but no one really knows, honestly, whether or not those cruises in December, November, October, March of next year. There's just no indication at this point. Penelope, we've just checked in today. We've booked Guaranteed Balcony. It told us that the deck, but not the room. Is that usual? It can be. I've seen situations where actually some people, Penelope, have gone to this. If you want to believe this, you get the set sail pass on your phone. You get a barcode on there. You get a QR code on there. People actually will take that code and use a barcode reader or QR scan, whatever it is, and scan it, and they can decipher what the assignment is. It could change, but it's not unheard of. But again, until you actually see the number in your account, it's always subject to change. So who knows? Beth, since more schools have added distance learning, I think parents may not think twice about taking kids out of school. I mean, I would, but it's still, they still need to do the work. And at the end of the day, look, as someone I've been on cruise ships and I have done work from a cruise ship, And as an adult, and I have a fair amount of self-control, it still stings. It still feels like everybody else is having fun, and you're stuck in your room like, really, I gotta do work. For kids, that's got to be even worse because, it's like going to school on a snow day kind of thing. So who knows? It remains to be seen. But that being said, if I could go back and there were no cruises to go on, but it did pay me that I said we could have gone on a cruise ship, but it was distance learning. But Lisa, how or when do we get to pre-pay gratuities? I'm 9 months out. If you book it through a travel agent, your travel agent can do it at any point, Lisa. You can pick up the phone right now and be like, hey, travel agent, can you actually, who calls the travel? You text your travel agent, you email your travel agent, add it to your reservation, no problem. You can always do the most common time to do it, Lisa, is at the time of reservation. You make the booking. It's one of the options during the reservation process, but you can always add it before the cruise. It's just a line item that comes on there. And then, Lisa, it will be due at final payment date. So if you haven't done it, which you haven't, call your travel agent, do it there. If you book the Royal Caribbean, you have to call them and do it. If you book a cruise on Royal Caribbean's website, when you get through the checkout process on like the last page or one of the last pages there's the option to prepay gratuities. So, Pooji, what's up, dude? Besides Izumi, what's the next best specialty dining restaurant available on Alert? Sabor. You're going to love Sabor. Kevin, is the vacation protection plan supposed to get refunded on a canceled cruise? I thought they were. I don't know 100%, my friend, so I don't want to mislead you. I thought they were, but I'm not 100% sure. Was that your sexy TA voice? Yeah, that was it. Todd, we always took our kids out of school for vacations, but worked with the teachers months in advance. No work missed, and we just made the trip a learning experience. Journals, trip reports, and that's a great approach, my friend. I would, if you haven't listened to it yet, Todd, listen to this week's episode because it's a really interesting look at, number one, and this is a really good point. Lisa, who was on the podcast with me, brought it up, is that schoolwork is not just dittos. It's not just here's a bunch of paperwork to fill out, and it's the equivalent. Class time is a big component to learning, which you can't replicate necessarily or nearly as well on land. And she brought up an excellent point, which I didn't think about. My generation versus my kids' generation, nowadays, group learning is way more a thing in schools than it was when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, it was a lot more independent learning. And now group learning is a big part of that. You can't really do that on a cruise ship. So it's not one-to-one. You're always going to miss out a little bit. But Todd, to your point, there's planning. It's taking the necessary steps. You don't just let the teacher know, oh, by the way, my kid's not going to be here next week. You can't do that, right? That's a mistake. So, yeah, absolutely. Great points right there. Sheila with an H, you're live now. We're live. Yeah, actually, I went live earlier this week because last week I went live and it was like, I don't know, I think it was like 9 o'clock or something like that, Eastern time. And we have a lot of friends who are from the UK, Europe, New Jersey, and they for them that's the middle of the night, so they want to be able to hang out. So we're here at a normal time for mix it up a little bit. Now, a lot of people will say, Matt, why don't you have schedules? Why don't you always go live at the same time? And the answer is, number one, my life doesn't operate that way, and I would feel awful if I told you guys we're gonna be live every day at 8 o'clock, and then I'm not live at 8 o'clock. It's like, you left us hanging here. So anyway, now we get to mix it up and have an opportunity to get more people in there. So Tommy says, we Swedes, thank you. There you go. I love that. It's always great to give everybody an opportunity. Look, you're not going to make every single live video. That's okay. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to be able to join us for it. So Captain Cranky, love the name, by the way, my friend. To replace canceled Odyssey, we're looking at 8 nights on Allure or 7 nights on Symphony. Any thoughts? Ooh. I'm always a fan of longer cruise is always the right option. Captain Cranky. By the way, Captain Cranky, what a great name. 8 nights, look, at the end of the day, an extra night is so worth it. But Symphony, Allure didn't get her a refurb. Symphony has a lot more features there. If you got kids, if like water slides are really important to you, I would go on Symphony of the Seas. I wouldn't fault you for docking a day on that one. So yeah, I miss seeing Alf. I know. He'll be back next week. Don't worry. Lamar, just joining in for your second live stream. Welcome, Lamar. Welcome back, I should say. Glad to have you here. Bayron, will 2021 have new shows on Symphony of the Seas? Unlikely, no. They generally don't change out the shows on cruise ships. Not very often at all. And I say not very often. It rarely changes. Expat Mike, why can't the cruise industry send out some of the new guidelines to give us some hope? We don't need the whole thing. Just a few would be nice. Because it's a good question, Mike. The answer is because if they put out some, here's what happens. Most people are like, what about X, Y, Z, and D, right? They're not going to harp necessarily on those rules. They're going to ask 1,000 questions. It's going to answer some questions and create a lot more. And unfortunately, in today's world, people want the whole thing, not here are some questions, because you can't tell them more is coming. So it's just simpler, I think, to be able to just give them the whole thing there. And right now, let's face it, my friend. It's July 6th, right? We're still 2 months, some change away from maybe cruises resuming. So there's still a lot of time that can happen between now and then that you would have to necessarily you got runway to be able to do it. It's not like there's cruises supposed to start next week. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. Sheila, going on Independence of the Seas for 4 days in October and Oasis in February for 7 days. Think it's going to happen. I don't know. I hope it happens, Sheila. But truly, the answer is nobody knows. There's no. We just simply don't know. Keith Bruce, does the 125% credit caused by the cancellations from COVID, will that apply with Odyssey Sea delays? Yes. Keith, if your cruise was canceled, Odyssey was canceled because of the delays. Yeah, you have the same choices as if your cruise is canceled because of COVID. So, let's see here. These are really good questions, guys. I really appreciate you hanging out with me here. Great generosity today. Really appreciate it. Roxanne, Navigator of the Seas will be my first cruise ever. Do you have any tips? My goodness, I love Navigator. My tips, get to the cruise ship early on embarkation day. I would say the escape room is worth doing. There's some fabulous dining on there. Check out the bamboo room. It's a lot of fun in there. The water slides. Bring your bathing suit on embarkation day. That way you can do the water slides with very little weight involved. That's like one of my big tips right there. It's really, really nice. It's a great ship. I love Navigator. Went on Navigator February 2019. And it was incredible. Love that ship. I've been trying to get back ever since. I actually had a couple that were canceled. Papa Mozo, you just got the notification now? How'd you get it, Papa? Was it through the app or the email? Because I'm curious if you just saw the notification now or it just sent it to you. That's really weird because we're about to wrap it up, to be perfectly honest with you. Pascal, the upper sun deck of the Lime and Coconut Bar is the bomb. Yeah, on Navigator, absolutely. John DiMuccio, what's up, John? Our February 21 Odyssey got canceled. I'm sorry to hear that. We're considering lift and shift for a similar itinerary, including Grand Cayman instead of Labadee. What's good there for a young family of 5? 7 Mile Beach, John. 7 Mile Beach is a great beach area. You'll love it. There's the other really compelling thing to do in Grand Cayman is Stingray City, John. It is it's a popular spot where you take a boat of some kind out and you get to play and you get to pet the stingrays. It's not my thing. I hate touching sea life. I never want to touch them. Ooh. But that is a very popular choice. I know you mentioned, I don't know if you have a family of 5 or a 5-year-old, but that's a really, really, really popular choice. I think you're either going to 7 Mile Beach and spending the day at the beach, or you're going to Stingray City, and you're going to be touching some slimy animals. Hey, listen, I mock it, but there's way more people will do it, and they love that thing. I'm sure there's people in chat right there. Mary Ellen still pretty much locked down in Connecticut. We were supposed to come up to Connecticut, Mary Ellen, until got banned from Connecticut for living in Florida. So womp womp. But I really, oh man, listen, this vacation home we're at is lovely, but I really wish I was in Connecticut right now. I would love it. David says Stingray City is a blast. Absolutely. There you go. Tash, have you stayed in a suite? If so, would you recommend? I've stayed in Crown Loft Suite. I've stayed in the Owner's Suite. I've stayed in the Grand Suite. I've stayed in Junior Suites. They're all great. Really, what it comes down to me is it's all about price. I think it's really about price. So if you can afford it, sure, but I wouldn't necessarily always book a suite. Mrs. Thomas, how about a video breakdown for each ship? That's a good question. Mrs. Thomas, I've been thinking about going back into videos. You probably, I know you've noticed I've not been doing my videos. When COVID-19 hit, especially here in the US, around March, I stopped making I used to do 2 YouTube videos a week in addition to the live video. I stopped doing the regular videos because, number one, there's no cruises, and me doing videos about hey guys, here's how I'm gonna save money on this thing. It's no one cares now. We're not going on cruise ships right now. So there's that. And number 2, YouTube was really de-emphasizing travel content because no one was traveling. So it was almost, don't take this the wrong way, guys, because I know you all watch it, but it's almost a waste of time in that regard. So I've been waiting for honestly, I've been waiting for Cruises to resume to start doing those videos again, but maybe we're in that spot where we're close enough that it might make some sense to go about it. There is blog specific content, Mrs. Thomas, about each, or a lot of ship specific content on Royal Caribbean blog, but I'd like to get back into it. Is the key worth it, Aspen? We have a great video of Adusis and myself on this channel about why I don't think it's worth it. Check out that video. I think you'll find it really, really helpful. Yash, Coco Beach Club or Coco Key Thrill Park, what's your pick? Do you want water slides or do you want to chill? That's really more the question. I mean, they're both great. If I had never been to either one, I would probably pick the water park. But I got kids, number one. Number two, I like going on water slides. I like the wave pool. Those are a lot of fun. So, there's not a right or wrong answer there. Some people just like, relaxing by the beach. You kind of, if you really value a exclusive area to kind of relax and take it easy, then you want Cocoa Beach Club. If you want the water park, if you want water slides, if you want the wave pool, if you got kids that are looking for that kind of level of excitement, the water park is the way to go. So, excuse me. What are some fun free things to do in Curacao, Grace wants to know? Just walk downtown. Your ship dock's really close to the downtown area. Just simply walk down there, walk around. I mean, walking is free. It doesn't cost you money to do almost anything else there, but it's a good thing to do. All right, guys. Last question. Lamar, Western, Eastern, or Southern Caribbean? I mean, Southern Caribbean has the most beautiful beaches. It's kind of a pain to get there because you usually have to fly to Puerto Rico. But in a vacuum, I would pick the Southern Caribbean there. So, and really last question from Paula. Can I use my future cruise credit for another family member? You cannot. Unfortunately, your future cruise credits are for the person that it's named for, Paula. So, as an example, if I get a future cruise credit, I cannot give you my credit, Paula. I cannot apply for you. I cannot give it to my mother. It's for the person. It's only for use by the person that received it. So, probably not what you wanted to hear, but that's the answer. So, guys, I apologize I can't get to every single question today. Don't worry. If you still had a question to ask, you go to our message boards at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Pascal is one of our moderators over there, and she and so many other great helpful people will help answer your questions for you. And, of course, we're here live every Monday right here on YouTube, hanging out with you guys, talking Royal Caribbean. So really appreciate you being a part of the fun today. And this is a lot of fun. I'm glad so many of you guys decided to join me a little earlier than usual to talk some Royal Caribbean. So appreciate it. Guys, on that note, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy, stay healthy, be safe, do something fun, and we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody. Oh, I don't even know how to end the stream. There it is. Bye, everybody.